Congressman Jake Auchincloss made history today when he delivered a speech on the House floor. But can you guess who wrote it? Listen.
Mr. Speaker, I stand here today because I am planning to reintroduce the United States-Israel Artificial Intelligence Center Act, a bipartisan piece of legislation that will cement a mutually beneficial partnership between the United States and Israel on artificial intelligence research. This is a critical step forward in an era where AI and its implications are taking center stage in public discourse.
Sounds totally legit, right? But what you just heard was actually written entirely by ChatGPT, a text-based artificial intelligence. Congressman Auchincloss joins me now. Congressman, it's interesting you chose to have that speech written by artificial intelligence. What was your motivation?
Good to be with you. I worked in tech for a number of years. I'm one of the youngest parents in Congress. This technology, I know, is going to be part of my career for decades to come, and it could be a general purpose technology for my children, meaning that in any sector in which they chose to work, it would be a key tool that they would need to use. And I wanted to spotlight this for Congress so that we have a debate now about purposeful policy for AI and not be 10 years behind the ball like I think a lot of policy was for social media.
It certainly, and you think about the way in which you've heard congressional hearings when they're trying to wrap their arms around a problem that really the train has left the station. With this moment in time, there is an opportunity to regulate or to course correct before it is derailed in some way. But are there legitimate concerns right now that it has the potential to be harmful?
There are. And I think we got to do two things to try to counteract any kind of dystopian future. One is we need more competition. Right now, the cutting edge of AI is happening in California through a consortium of big tech companies, Microsoft first and foremost, but Meta and Alphabet have their own internal AI research units as well. Because of their cloud computing power, because of the quality and quantity of data that they have, because of the engineers that they are able to attract, they do the cutting edge work. I think that this technology should be available to universities, to nonprofits, to public officials, to small companies, so that everybody can have a hand in shaping this, so that it works for everybody. And then also, we need to start having substantive conversations in Congress and at the administration level, which they are, about ensuring that this is a tool, not a master. This is meant to amplify human creativity and productivity. It should not be a substitute, and we should not allow it to create economic or social conditions that 10 years from now we look back on and say, this isn't what we wanted. Because I think a lot of people have that sense with social media. These companies started small, they started scrappy, and then everyone looked around a decade later, they were worth $2 trillion and had warped a lot of the conversation that we valued.
We are in a very much a disinformation age, unfortunately, and so there's obviously the concerns about the potential for deep fakes, the idea of having it be amplifying the lies or distorting realities. And there was an interesting moment. It's been talked about as not being able to hypothesize on things, but I actually asked it to model a hypothetical debate between President Biden and the former President Trump, who, of course, is running for office again, on climate change. Listen to what it actually said. This is what it generated. It said, President Biden says climate change is an existential threat to our planet, and we must take immediate action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and transition to clean energy sources. My administration is committed to rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, investing in renewable energy, and implementing policies to decrease carbon emissions. Conversely, it quotes a hypothetical President Trump saying climate change is a hoax perpetrated by China and other countries to harm the American economy. The Paris Climate Agreement is a bad deal for America and would cripple our industries. We should focus on promoting American energy independence and protecting American jobs. I mean, it's an emulation, but based on what it's culled from the internet, likely close to what's been said before. So I wonder, are you concerned about speech generation as sort of the next frontier and people knowing how much they value what's written and what's out there will take this as truth?
Speech generation, and I should add video generation as well, deep fake videos. One example of that to complement that you just gave, people can Google right now a speech by Richard Nixon if the moon landing had failed. Because they had that speech drafted in that eventuality. Obviously it didn't, so they never delivered it. But they were able to take footage of President Nixon giving other speeches. They were able to feed in that text. And you've got President Nixon delivering a speech as though the moon landing had crashed instead. And you can extrapolate that to 100 other scenarios. The good news here is that the same technology that can generate those deep fakes, either in speech or in video, can also be used to discern and flag those deep fakes as being misinformation. I think another area where we have this kind of pro and con area that we should wrestle with is education. We're already seeing universities and K-12 educators worrying about plagiarism or about students not doing their own work. And clearly, administrators are going to have to put in safeguards for that. There's also the potential, though, that AI could do personalized tutoring at scale for kids who learn differently, for kids who are ahead or behind of the curriculum, to give superpowers to teachers. I find that exciting. But that pro and con is going to require very nuanced public debate. It's got to start now.
Certainly does. I'm glad to have it here. Thank you, Congressman Auchincloss, for stopping by.
Good evening.
Well, everyone.